This guy hails from Guatemala and has gone to Chicago. He has won 83 Moth Story Slams, which is a monumental accomplishment. People who know him call him the boss. I'm speaking about the one and only Nestor Gomez. Please put your hands together for my good friend, Nestor the Boss Gomez. He's gonna take us on out with Home.
Bring it home.
Ness. Just for you.
Still too high, but sorry. There you go. Normal size now.
Fun size.
My mother came to this country with nothing but the clothes that she was wearing, and that determination that somehow she was going to buy her own house. So after years of working 3, 4 different jobs and never giving me an allowance, my mother bought her own freaking house. But when I say that she bought her house, I don't mean that she went to an architect and she told that person how she wanted her house to be built with a swimming pool here, with a tennis court there, with extra bedrooms and washrooms. No. My mother bought an old house in Chicago that she could barely afford, a house that needed so many things to get fixed. So, of course, the very first thing she did as soon as she bought her house was to call me, her oldest son, to come and install a washer and a dryer in her house. I had never installed a washer or a dryer in anybody's houses. But I wasn't about to tell my mother no, because even at this age, she would take out her chancla and she would hit me for saying no to her. So I went to her home, and somehow I managed to install the washer. I managed to also install the dryer. But now I needed to put the duct into the hole on the wall so the heat will go out from the dryer. And I'm looking all over the house and there's not a hole in the wall. So I had to make the hole in the wall. I take my drill and I start to make a hole. And then my hammer to make it bigger, and the hammer, and there's a little cable that falls right in the middle where I'm working, and I take a little piece of tape, and I tape the cable, and I keep making the hole bigger, and the cable falls again, and I tape the cable again, and I make the hole bigger with my drill and with my hammer, and the cable falls again, so I grab my pliers, and I cut the cable in half. And I make the hole with the drill and the hammer, and I make it big enough, and I put the duct in it, and I call my mom, and I tell her, look, I installed the washer, I installed the dryer, I saved you like $300. And I go to my own house, and the next day, I hear that the little cable that I cut was probably the cable for the phone line. Remember those? Because my mom has no phone service, and she had to call a company, and she paid $500 to get it fixed. I never told my mother that I was the one to call the cable, because if I tell her, she would take the chancla and hit me. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I have been cut, burned, electrocuted, fixing the many things that break at my mother's house. One time she called me because now she's living on the second floor and the light for the washroom is broken, so I have to go into her attic space and crawl to the space where the washroom is, and I managed to get electrocuted and change the light fixture. And I'm getting out of that crawl space after fixing the light. I'm crawling and I step on the drywall. I almost fell. and I grab onto the heating vent, and I pull myself up. And then I crawl out of the crawl space, and I look at the big hole in the ceiling. And maybe I could tell my mother that that's a skylight. But maybe I better go to Home Depot and get some drywall and learn how to fix it. So that's what I do. And a few months later, she calls me because the furnace is not working. Every winter is the same thing. The pilot goes out, and I had to go and crawl in the crawl space and light up the pilot. So I go there, and I go into the crawl space, and I go all the way on the back of the crawl space, and I try to light up the pilot, and it's not working. I check to see if the electrical is on, and it is on. I see if the gas is working. If it's on, it's on. I try to light it, and it's not working. And I'm thinking maybe when I hung out from the dog, maybe I broke something, and I look at the dogs, and they are all fine, and I don't know what's wrong. So I got out of the crawl space, and I told my mom, I don't know, it's not working. And usually the pilot, but it's not working. And my mom is like, come on, I don't want to pay a lot of money to fix it. So I'm like, okay, let me check one more thing. So I go to the wall, and I check the thermostat, and I don't know how the thermostat looks, but it looks like it's working fine. But I take out the little screws from the thermostat, and I take it out of the wall, and I look at the cables to see they are fine, and they seem to be fine. I put it back on the wall, and I tell my mom, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know how to fix it. And my mom gets so sad, and she tells me, a couple of weeks ago, the roof was leaking, and I told you to come and fix it, and you didn't want to fix it. I'm like, Mom, I don't know how to fix the roof. That takes a whole bunch of people to get it fixed. I don't know how to fix it. I tried to fix it, and I couldn't fix it. She's like, I know. I had to call a company and pay a lot of money, and after they fixed the roof, the furnace stopped working. I say, what? After they fixed the roof, the furnace stopped working. I'm like, I know what's wrong with the furnace. And I go back up on the crawl space, and I look, and what I'm looking for is because I'm thinking that when they were fixing the roof, they were cutting the roof, the patches of roof to put new roof, and as they were cutting it, they cut the cable that goes from the thermostat to the furnace. And I know that because somebody called her phone line many years ago. And that's probably what happened now. So I look at the cable, and it's cut in 3 places. I take my electrical tape, and I fix the cable on one spot. I fix the cable on another spot. And as soon as I fix the cable on the 3rd spot, poof, the furnace goes alive. It's working, my mom says. And I crawl out of the crawl space, and I had dirt all over me, on my face, in my clothes, and my mom is so happy that she wants to hug me, but then she looks at me and she's like, oh, and then she's like, how do you know how to fix it? And I'm not gonna tell her that I knew because she would take the chancla and hit me. So I look at my mom and I say, immigrants, we get the job done. But my mom has never seen Hamilton, so she has no idea what I'm talking about. And she's like, what? And I say, nothing. And then my mom looks at me and she says, you are full of dirt. You should take a shower before you go home. And I look at myself, and yes, I have dirt all over the place. And I start to go into her washroom, and I stop. Because what if this is a trap? What if the shower is not working? What if the toilet is not flushing? What if the sink is leaking? I don't want to go in there and find out what's wrong is in there and try to fix it. So I get out of the washroom. I told my mom, you know what? I'm just going to go home like this, because if I go home all clean and nice, my wife is not going to believe that I was here. And my mother looks at me and she said, like, okay, whatever. And I run out of her house, and I get in my car, I start my car, and I speed out before she can call me and tell me that something else broke, and I make it 1 block before my phone starts ringing. And I pull over, and I look at my phone, and I'm like, oh, something else broke. And I look at my phone, and yes, it's my mom, and she texted me, gracias, mijo. Thank you, son, for coming here and fixing the stuff. And And I feel a little bit bad because I was running away. But I know by looking at the text that if my mother had called me and said that the furnace or something else wasn't working, I was going to do a U-turn, and I was going to go back to her house, and I was going to get caught, I was going to get burned, I was going to get electrocuted, trying to fix whatever broke, because that's the way she raised me. And immigrants, we get the job done. We get the job done. We do things. That's how my mother raised me. Having an appreciation of home, of hard work, of where I came from. My mom raised me in such a way that every Sunday morning we have Guatemalan breakfast together. She makes Guatemalan food, and I go to the Guatemalan bakery to get Guatemalan breakfast together with my mom. I had to buy the bread. That's my job. That and eat her food. I'm really good at that. So I go to the Guatemalan bakery like every Sunday. I go and I start to buy the bread, which I don't like that much to buy the bread because I'm cheap. But it's for my mom to go have breakfast with my mom. She makes the food, so okay. I start to pay for the bread. When I look behind the counter, because there's a sign, there's a flyer, and I'm looking at the flyer. Oh, is that true? I asked the lady on the counter, and she looks over and she's like, oh yeah, we sell pollo campero here. Okay, I can see by your reaction that you don't know what pollo campero means. So pollo campero means country chicken. Okay, you like country chicken, big deal. Country chicken is the most delicious chicken you could ever have. Pollo Campero is the name of a restaurant in Guatemala that makes this delicious chicken with secret spices and a secret recipe. And I have been in this country for 20-something years. My mom had been in this country for over 3 decades. We hadn't had Pollo Campero in all those years. So I'm going to buy Pollo Campero instead of the bread and surprise my mom. And I ask, how much for 2 pieces? And they say $50. I'm cheap. I don't want to pay $50 for 2 pieces of chicken. So instead, I'm going to order one for me and don't tell my mom about it. So I ordered 1 piece, and I'm about to pay the $25, and then the lady tells me, come back in 3 weeks. 3 weeks for a piece of chicken? I start to complain, and the lady says, sir, this is a bakery. We don't make the pollo campero that is made with a secret recipe. We go to New York where there's a pollo campero. We buy the pollo campero there, then bring it here. But I don't know if you're coming back soon, so it's going to take 3 weeks because my husband goes every end of the month when he has a bunch of orders together, so you have to wait 3 weeks. I think about it, and in 3 weeks, it's going to be my mom's birthday. And I know you're thinking, you're going to give a piece of chicken for your mom's birthday as a gift? Yes. Because this is pollo campero, the most delicious pollo chicken you could have. And if I have memories of going to Guatemala, imagine all the memories that she has, more than me, more special than me. So yes, I ordered 2 pieces of chicken and I go home. I had the breakfast with my mom. I don't say anything about the chicken. And 3 weeks later, they call me, the chicken is ready. Have you ever been on a drive-thru waiting for your order, and it takes more than 5 minutes, and you're like, why is it taking so long? I want to talk to the manager. I waited 3 weeks, and I'm so happy when I get there. I'm here for my chicken. Where's my chicken? 2 pieces of chicken. And the lady's like, here it is, sir. She gives me the chicken. I take it, and it's frozen. That's what I say. $50 for 2 pieces of frozen chicken? What the? And the lady's like, sir. When my husband goes to New York, he buys the chicken. But I don't know if you're coming back in a day, in 2 weeks. Some people take a long time. So we freeze the chicken so it doesn't spoil. But don't worry, put it on the microwave for a minute. It will be as good as new. $50 for 2 pieces of frozen chicken. This better be good. This better be good. I go home, and as soon as I knock on the door, my niece opens the door. What do you want? I'm here to see my mom. I'm not here to see you. I tell my niece, whatever. She goes into her room and closes the door. I go into the kitchen, tell my mom to close her eyes, to sit down. I open the microwave, put the chicken, 2 minutes, boop. I open the door. Is that pollo campero? My mom says, is that food? My niece says, opening the door to her room, goes into the kitchen, grabs my chicken, puts ketchup on it, and starts eating it. No! I tell my niece, what? You don't put ketchup on pollo campero? Why not? Because it's a special chicken made with a special recipe, a secret recipe, secret spices. Like KFC. And she's kind of right, but she's kind of wrong because this is pollo campero. So I explained to her everything about pollo campero, how special it is. And then I noticed my mom is eating her chicken. My niece is eating my chicken that I paid $50 for, and they are almost done with the chicken. I look at my mom, and I tell my mom, can you give me a piece of chicken? And my mom stops and takes a little nugget and puts it in my hand. And I look at this tiny little nugget of chicken that I paid $50 for, and I put it in my mouth, and immediately, all the memories of celebrating birthdays and going there with my brothers and the sounds of Guatemala just get into my head and my heart and my soul, and I'm back there and I am so happy, and I look at my mom and she's eating her chicken with tears of happiness running down her face. And I know that I paid $50 for this tiny piece of chicken. But I can see my mom, how happy she is. And it is $50, but some memories are priceless. Memories are so special, are so important. It's what has kept us going in this country. All the memories from Guatemala, all the memories that I have, that finally, after many years living in this country without being able to go back to Guatemala, I managed to finally get on a plane and head back to Guatemala for the first time in over 3 decades. And I cannot tell you all the emotion that I feel knowing that I'm back in Guatemala when the plane finally lands, because for the first time in my adult life, I'm back in my native country, and for the first time, I'm going to be in a room where most people are my same height. I am so happy to be back in Guatemala. I want all those memories that are being in my head and my heart and my soul. I want to experience them live. I want to see the wide open spaces of my childhood. I want to breathe the fresh air. I want to be on a big city that is big but is quiet. And I'm so happy I get out of the airport and I get on an Uber, because we do have Ubers in Guatemala. And as soon as I get on the Uber driver looks at me and says, hey, where are you from? And I hate that he asked me this question, because I've been living in this country for over 3 decades. And the first thing that people ask me when they see me is, where are you from? I did came to this country undocumented, but now I am an American citizen. I am an American. But people would never see me as an American. People would always see me as the other. And people always ask me, where are you from in this country? And for the first time, I'm back in my native country. And the first time this guy asked me, he's like, where are you from? And I am so mad that I want to scream at him. But then I realized, when I speak Spanish, I sound like a Mexican because I've been in Chicago for so long. And I have long, beautiful hair like somebody from Ecuador. And I'm coming from the damn airport. So he has a point to ask me where I'm come from. So I say, dude, I was actually born here in Guatemala, but I've been in Chicago for many years. And he say, oh, how is Chicago? And I say, it's cold. It's so cold that it reminds me of my ex-wife. We laugh. And then I told him how happy I am to be back in Guatemala and see the wide open spaces and feel the fresh air and look at the big city. And he looks at me like I'm crazy. He starts driving, and as soon as we get out of the airport, I see why he looked at me that way. because the wide open spaces of my childhood are now gone. Where we used to play soccer with my friends, now there's a house, and another house, and another house, and another house. There's so many people. And the fresh air, I don't know if you know this, but in Guatemala, there are no emission tests. So every other car is leaving behind a cloud of smoke. I can't breathe. And a big, quiet city, I am a Latino. I like to play loud music when I'm driving. I'm in a country full of Latinos. There's merengue, salsa, cumbia, bachata, there's everything. Everybody's playing their music loud, everybody's honking. I can't stand it, and there's so much traffic. It should have taken us 2 hours to get to the hotel. It's being in rush traffic, bumper to bumper for 6 hours. We're going nowhere. We finally make it to the hotel, and now I'm feeling a little bit better because I'm going to Lake Atitlan, the most beautiful lake in the world. When I was a little kid, my mother took me to the lake, and I got on the lake, and the water was up to my chest, which is not that high. But I could see my toes. And I got in the water, and I scooped up some water, and I drank the water. I don't know if you can do that here. The water was so fresh and so delicious. I want to get back to that lake and see it like I did on my childhood. So I get to the lake, and when I get there, there's a restaurant and an hotel and a lot of people, and everybody's taking selfies, and the water is murky and smells kind of funky, and there's a sewer pipe that is going into the lake. This is not the Guatemala of my memories. This is not the lake that I remember. This is not the Guatemala that I remember. Everything has changed. But maybe, just maybe it's me who changed. Because I get tired of walking everywhere. I get tired of the people. I get so tired that I start to miss the smell of pee on the CTA stations. I start to miss the USA where I've been living for over 3 decades. So a few days later, I'm back on a plane. And as soon as the plane lands and I get out of the terminal, I know I'm back in the USA, baby. And I know I'm back in the USA because in Guatemala, everybody was so nice. Everybody look at you in the eyes. Everybody say, good morning. Good morning. How are you, senor? Good morning. Everybody's smiling. I'm at the terminal, everybody's looking at the phone, everybody's in a rush, some people are giving me the finger, everybody's pushing me, everybody's being rude. I miss that so much. I feel so at home that I want to have a USA meal. So there at the terminal, I go into a restaurant, I order a hamburger, I order fries, I order a soda, and I sit down and I eat my USA meal. And then I take my phone and I pay the USA way with my app. And I get out of the restaurant and I feel somebody tapping my shoulder, and I look, and it's the waitress. She told me that I didn't pay for my order. And I show her the application, and she doesn't believe me. She grabs me and takes me back to the restaurant, and we look at the computer, and she realized that I did pay, and she blamed it on the computer. She doesn't apologize. I am so mad. I want to scream at her. I want to call her names, and I'm just so tired of this because I've been in this country for 5 minutes, and I'm already a victim of microaggressions. So I get out of the restaurant, and I sit on the terminal because I just want to go home. But where is home? I just came back from my native land, and it doesn't feel like home anymore. Everything has changed. And I spent 5 minutes back in the USA, I'm already being attacked. And don't get me wrong, I love this country. I love this country because this country is the country of my many firsts. The first time I made love to a woman. The first time I got married. The first time I got divorced. I love this country and its promise of life, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness for everyone. But just like many immigrants and like many people of color that love this country so much, I just wish that this country would love me back the same way.